Commander Susan Kelly looked out the viewport of her small patrol ship as it approached the unknown object in Earth's orbit. The mysterious craft had appeared 12 hours ago, triggering every defense system from Earth to Luna. Its sleek, silver hull reflected the sun's light, making it shine like a star against the blackness of space. "Approaching target at 5 kilometers," said Lieutenant Peter Wells from the pilot's seat. "Still no response to our communications." Susan nodded. Her heart beat faster, but her face remained calm. This was why she had joined the United Earth Defense Force, to be humanity's first line of protection. "Take us closer." 1 kilometer distance. As they approached, the alien ship suddenly came alive. Lights flickered across its surface in patterns that seemed almost like language. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," said Communications Officer Diane Morris. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. I think it's translating itself." A voice filled the command deck, speaking perfect English, but with an odd rhythm that made it clear this was not a human speaker. "Greetings, representatives of Earth. We are emissaries of the Galactic Council. We come in peace and with an invitation." Susan exchanged glances with her crew before responding. "This is Commander Susan Kelly of the United Earth Defense Force. We acknowledge your greeting. What is the nature of your invitation?" There was a pause. Then, "We request permission to send a small delegation to meet with your leaders. Earth has reached a level of development that qualifies it for consideration of membership in the Galactic Council." 6 hours later, Susan stood in a conference room at UEDF headquarters with Earth's highest-ranking officials. Across from them sat 3 aliens, each different from the others in striking ways. The one who called himself Ambassador Zilthrax had blue-gray skin and large, sensitive eyes. He seemed to be the leader. To his left sat a being with scales and 4 arms who was introduced as Science Minister Kelvos. The third alien was small with iridescent wings folded against its back. Security Coordinator Mira. "We have observed Earth for many decades," Ambassador Zilthrax explained. "Your species has finally reached the technological threshold that allows formal contact." President Richard Gould leaned forward. "And what exactly is this Galactic Council you represent?" "We are an alliance of 7 advanced species that has maintained peace and order across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy for over 4,000 of your years," Zilthrax replied. "We govern interstellar travel, trade, and diplomatic relations between all spacefaring civilizations in our territory." "And you want Earth to join?" asked Secretary of Defense Floria Martinez, her voice skeptical. "We offer Earth the opportunity to become the 8th member species," said Zilthrax. "It would mean access to technologies, resources, and knowledge beyond your current reach." Susan noticed something in the alien's tone, a hint of urgency that didn't match his calm words. "What's the catch?" she asked, speaking out of turn. Officials turned to look at her, but she kept her eyes on Zilthrax. The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "Perceptive, Commander Kelly. There are, of course, responsibilities that come with membership. Council species must contribute to the common defense and welfare." "Defense against what?" Susan pressed. "The galaxy is largely peaceful, thanks to Council efforts," said Security Coordinator Mira, her voice higher and faster than Zilthrax's. "But there are those who oppose our order." "A rival faction called the Hegemony," Zilthrax admitted. "They have different ideas about how interstellar civilization should be organized. Our conflict with them is contained and managed. It would not affect Earth's integration." Susan didn't believe that for a second. In her experience, conflicts were never truly contained. She caught the eye of President Gould, who gave her a small nod. "We'll need time to consider your offer," the president told the aliens. "This is not a small decision for our world." "Of course," Zilthrax agreed. "But I must caution that events in our galaxy move quickly. We hoped humanity might join our community before those events overtake us all." Susan felt a chill at his words. They hadn't come to Earth by chance or goodwill alone. The Galactic Council wanted something from humanity, and she was determined to find out what it was before Earth got pulled into something it couldn't escape. The journey to the Nexus took 3 days aboard the Council transport ship. Captain Alan Wright spent much of that time staring out at the stars, watching them blur as the ship moved faster than light itself. Even after 20 years in the Navy, he never imagined he would travel beyond Earth's solar system. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Dr. Olivia Dawson joined him at the viewport. As Earth's lead diplomat for this mission, she carried the heavy responsibility of representing humanity to the Galactic Council. That we're traveling to an alien space station, or that aliens exist at all? Alan asked with a smile. Both, she admitted. 2 weeks ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Ambassador Zilthrax approached them, his blue-gray skin seeming to shimmer under the ship's lights. We will arrive at the Nexus soon. I hope you are prepared for the experience. Many species find their first visit overwhelming. Alan nodded. We'll manage. When the ship finally dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the Nexus came into view. It wasn't a station as humans understood the term. It was a massive ring structure surrounding a small sun, with countless ships docking along its outer edge. The Nexus serves as the central meeting place for all Council races, Zilthrax explained. It was built 3,000 years ago as neutral territory. As they docked, Alan noted the security measures, defense platforms, patrol ships, and scanning arrays. This wasn't just a political center. It was a fortress. Inside, the human delegation was led through wide corridors filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some walked on many legs, others floated, and a few seemed to phase in and out of solid form. They arrived at a large chamber where representatives of the 7 council species waited. Alan studied each of them carefully. Besides the Arathi that Zilthrax belonged to, there were the 4-armed Kelvorns, the winged Mirathi, the crystalline Corax, the gas-filled Ven in their containment suits, the tentacled Octari, and the plant-like Florians. Welcome, humans, said a Corax elder, her crystal body reflecting light in dazzling patterns. I am Chief Counselor Zix. We have awaited this day with great anticipation. The meeting lasted hours as each council representative spoke about their civilization and the benefits of joining their alliance. They described advanced technologies, medical breakthroughs, and cultural exchanges that made Alan's head spin with possibilities. Then the conversation turned to the conflict with the hegemony. It is nothing you need worry about, said the Octari representative, his tentacles moving in what might have been a dismissive gesture. The conflict is contained to specific sectors, far from Earth. What exactly is this hegemony? Olivia asked. And why are you fighting them? The council members exchanged glances before Zix answered. The hegemony believes in domination rather than cooperation. They'd force worlds to join them and extract resources without fair compensation. Our conflict began over their expansion into council territory. During a break, Alan wandered the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He overheard 2 Kelvorns speaking nearby, not realizing he could hear them. The humans show promise, one said. Their military tactics are unorthodox but effective. Their strategic position is what matters, replied the other. With Earth secured, the hegemony will be unable to bypass that entire sector. Alan moved closer, pretending to admire the view. Do you think they suspect our real interest? Asked the first Kelvorn. They are primitive, said the second. They see only the opportunity we present, not the use we have for them. Alan kept his face neutral as he walked away. Back in their quarters, he found Olivia reviewing data from the meeting. We need to be careful, he told her quietly. I just overheard something concerning. I don't think they're telling us everything about this conflict. Olivia looked up, her expression serious. I've noticed discrepancies in their descriptions too. The Ven representative mentioned battles in sectors they previously claimed were peaceful. They want Earth for its strategic position, Alan said. We're not potential allies. We're a military asset. Olivia nodded slowly. Then we need to find out what we're really being dragged into before we make any agreements. Outside their quarters, unseen by either human, a small monitoring device recorded their conversation and transmitted it to Council security. Laura Benson had never expected to work for Earth's new Department of Extraterrestrial Affairs. As a mathematician who specialized in pattern analysis, she had spent most of her career developing algorithms for data security companies. Now she sat in a high-security facility, staring at screens filled with alien communications. "Found anything interesting?" asked Dr. Simon Powell, the department head. He placed a cup of coffee beside her keyboard. Laura nodded, pushing her glasses up her nose. "Too many interesting things. Look at these transmission patterns between Council ships." She pointed to a series of graphs on her monitor. They increase by 40% whenever they're near our solar system. But the official communication logs they shared with us only show about half this volume. "Secret communications," Simon said with a frown. "And there's something else." Laura pulled up another screen. "I've been analyzing the technology they shared with us. The navigational systems, the medical equipment, the power generators, they're all slightly modified versions of their standard technology." "Modified how?" "They've removed certain elements. It's like they're giving us a watered-down version." Laura sighed, running a hand through her short brown hair. "But here's the weird part. They've left the weapons and defensive systems almost completely intact. If anything, those have been enhanced." Simon crossed his arms. "They want us armed but not fully independent." "Exactly. They're preparing us for something, but not for membership, for war." Meanwhile, on the Nexus, Alan and Olivia continued their diplomatic meetings with the Council. Today they sat in a smaller chamber with Ambassador Zilthrax and Chief Counselor Zix. "We've received your preliminary questions," Zix said, her crystalline body catching the light. "You have concerns about our conflict with the hegemony." Alan nodded. "Earth needs to understand exactly what we'd be aligning ourselves with. Your representatives have given vague or conflicting information about this conflict." Zilthrax's large eyes blinked slowly. "Perhaps there have been translation errors. The conflict is complex but contained." "Then explain Earth's strategic importance," Alan said firmly. "We've intercepted communications discussing our planet's strategic position and military potential." The two council members exchanged glances. Zix's crystal surface dimmed slightly before she spoke. "You must understand the nature of our galaxy. Certain navigation routes are more efficient than others due to gravitational conditions. Earth sits at a crucial junction of these routes. So our location is valuable to you," Olivia pressed. "To everyone," Zilthrax admitted, "including the hegemony. If they were to establish a presence in your system, they could threaten Council worlds. We merely wish to ensure that doesn't happen by having us defend the junction for you," Alan concluded. "By having you defend your own territory," Zilthrax corrected, "which benefits us both. Is that not a fair arrangement?" Back on Earth, Laura had made another discovery. She rushed into the main conference room, where military and political leaders were discussing the latest reports from the Nexus delegation. "The Council has been manipulating star charts," she announced, placing her tablet on the table. "The maps they've given us show Earth in a relatively isolated position, with few nearby star systems. But I've cross-referenced their navigation data with our own deep space observations." She pulled up a holographic display showing a very different star map. Earth isn't isolated at all. We're at the center of a dense cluster of systems. According to their own classified navigation logs, our solar system is a major crossroads. General Frank Mercer studied the map with narrowed eyes. "They're hiding how important we really are." "Why?" "To keep us from realizing our bargaining power," Laura suggested. Or to keep us from knowing we're sitting in the middle of a potential battlefield," the general finished grimly. At that moment, alarm sirens blared through the facility. A lieutenant burst into the room. "Sir, we're detecting an unidentified spacecraft entering the outer solar system. It's not using Council identification codes." "Get me a secure line to our delegation at the Nexus," ordered the general, "and put all Earth defense forces on high alert. I think we're about to find out what the Council isn't telling us." General Frank Mercer stood in Earth's Defense Command Center, watching as the unknown ship moved deeper into the solar system. Dozens of military personnel worked at their stations around him, their faces lit by the glow of monitors. "Ship is approaching Mars orbit, sir," reported Colonel Linda Hayes. Still no response to communications. "What's our status?" Frank asked, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "All defense platforms are online. The orbital fleet is in position. Ground-based weapons are locked and tracking." Frank nodded. Earth had been preparing for this possibility since first contact. The Council had provided defensive technology, and humanity had quickly adapted it to their existing systems. "Sir, the ship is changing course," Linda announced. "It's heading directly toward the Mars colony." Frank's jaw tightened. The Mars colony housed 10,000 civilians. "Launch interceptors. Tell them to warn off the intruder but hold their fire unless attacked." 6 Earth fighters streaked toward the unknown vessel. On the main screen, everyone could now see the alien ship clearly. Its design was angular and dark, unlike the sleek Council vessels. "General, we're receiving a message from the Nexus," said Communications Officer Ryan Baker. "It's Ambassador Zilthrax." The alien's face appeared on a side screen. "General Mercer, we've been informed of the situation. The vessel in your system belongs to the Hegemony. It is a scout ship, likely assessing your defenses. They're threatening our Mars colony," Frank replied sharply. "They are testing your resolve," Zilthrax said. "The Council recommends immediate action to repel them. We are sending support vessels, but they will not arrive for several hours." The main screen suddenly flashed as the Hegemony ship fired on the Earth fighters. 2 interceptors took direct hits but remained operational thanks to their new shield technology. "Return fire," Frank ordered. "Target their weapons and propulsion systems." The battle was brief but intense. Earth's fighters, though smaller, were faster and more maneuverable. The pilots quickly adapted to the Hegemony ship's attack patterns and surrounded it, firing from multiple angles. "They're retreating, sir," Linda reported as the alien vessel turned and accelerated away from Mars. "Our fighters damaged their main weapons array." A cheer went up from the command staff, but Frank remained serious. "Track them to the edge of the system. Make sure they leave." Later that day, Frank met with Earth's Leadership Council, including Laura Benson, who had been asked to analyze the battle data. "The incursion confirms what the Council has been telling us about the Hegemony," said Defense Secretary Gloria Martinez. "They're aggressive and expansionist." "Maybe," Laura said, her expression troubled. "But something doesn't add up. Look at this." She displayed a tactical replay of the battle. The Hegemony ship targeted our fighters, but deliberately avoided hitting critical systems. They fired warning shots at the Mars colony, but never targeted population centers. Frank frowned. "You think they were holding back?" "I think they were testing us, not attacking us," Laura replied. "And there's something else." She pulled up another display showing communication signals. "During the battle, I detected encrypted transmissions between the edge of our system and the Nexus. They spiked just before the Hegemony ship arrived." "You think the Council knew this was going to happen?" asked President Gold. "I think they might have arranged it," Laura said quietly. On the Nexus, Alan and Olivia were shown footage of the battle by the Council. The Council members seemed impressed by Earth's defense capabilities. "Your fighters performed admirably," said the Octary representative. "Few first encounters with Hegemony forces end so decisively." "Your species shows remarkable combat aptitude," added Zix. "Your pilots adapted to alien combat tactics within minutes." Alan noticed the appreciative looks exchanged between Council members. It wasn't relief he saw in their expressions. It was satisfaction. "We should accelerate Earth's integration," suggested the Florian representative. "They have proven their value." As they left the meeting, Olivia whispered to Alan, "Did you notice? They seemed pleased about the attack." Elen nodded grimly. They weren't testing if we could be protected. They were testing if we could fight. Dr. Olivia Dawson waited nervously in a dim corridor on the lower level of the Nexus. This area was far from the grand meeting halls where official council business took place. Here, maintenance workers and service drones moved through narrow passages that kept the massive station functioning. This is dangerous. Alan had warned her before she left. If the council discovers you meeting with a hegemony representative, we need to hear both sides. Olivia had insisted. Something isn't right. Now she checked her watch again. The contact who had arranged this meeting, a member of a neutral trading group called the Freeholders, was late. A door slid open nearby, and a small green alien with 4 eyes gestured for her to enter. Quickly, it whispered, "We don't have much time." Inside, a tall figure waited. Unlike the council members Olivia had met, this alien had pale white skin that seemed to glow faintly. 2 sets of arms were folded across its chest, and its eyes were large and completely black. "Dr. Dawson," the alien said in a soft voice, "I am Sanvor, diplomatic envoy of the hegemony. Thank you for taking this risk." Olivia nodded stiffly. "I want to understand why your people attacked our Mars colony." Sanvor's face showed an expression that might have been sadness. "The ship that entered your system was under orders to scan and observe only. It fired when your fighters approached because the Council has spread stories that humans shoot first and ask questions later. The Council told us the same about you," Olivia replied. "Of course they did." The Janvor moved to a small table where a device projected a star map. "Do you know how the conflict between the hegemony and Council began? They said you invaded Council territory. We discovered resource-rich worlds in unclaimed space," Kazanvor corrected. "The Council suddenly declared these worlds had always been under their protection. When we refused to leave, they attacked. That was over 100 years ago," continued Kazanvor. "Since then, the war has destroyed dozens of worlds. Neither side can gain the upper hand. Both our civilizations are exhausted." Olivia studied the alien carefully. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Earth is about to be drawn into a conflict that is not yours." Tanvor touched the projection, and it zoomed in to show Earth's solar system. "Your world sits at the center of 7 major transit lanes. Whoever controls Earth controls movement through an entire sector of the galaxy. The Council needs Earth as a fortress," Tanvor explained. "They plan to draw our forces into attacking your world, trapping us in your system while their fleets strike elsewhere." Olivia felt cold. "They're using us as bait." "And as weapons," added Tanvor. "The Council has studied human history extensively. They are fascinated by your species' approach to warfare." "What do you mean?" "Most advanced civilizations avoid conflict when possible. War is calculated, precise, with acceptable parameters for losses on both sides." Tanvor's black eyes seemed to look straight through her. "Humans are different. You fight with creativity and desperation. You develop new tactics rapidly. You accept great sacrifices to achieve victory. That's why the Council was so pleased when we repelled your ship," Olivia realized. "They'd wanted to confirm their theory that humans are natural warriors." Tanvor agreed. "Now they will accelerate their plans to involve Earth directly in the conflict." "Why are you warning me? What does the hegemony want from Earth?" "We want you to stay neutral," Tanvor replied simply. "This war has gone on too long. Perhaps a new power, one that thinks differently, could help end it rather than prolong it." As Olivia left the meeting, her mind raced with this new information. She had to tell Alan and contact Earth. The Council wasn't just hiding the truth. They were planning to use humanity as both shield and sword in a war that had nothing to do with Earth. What troubled her most was realizing why Earth had been chosen. Not just for its location, but for humanity's capacity for violence. The Council saw humans as weapons to be aimed at their enemies. They didn't want allies. They wanted soldiers. Captain Alan Wright stood beside Olivia as they faced the full Galactic Council. All 7 representatives sat in a semicircle before them, with Ambassador Zilthrax and Chief Counselor Zix in the center. The chamber was large and formal, designed to make visitors feel small and powerless. Alan felt neither. After hearing Olivia's report about her meeting with the hegemony diplomat and receiving confirmation from Earth about Laura's findings, he was angry. "We appreciate the Council's guidance during the recent hegemony incursion," Alan began, keeping his voice level. "But we've discovered information that concerns us greatly." Zix's crystalline body glimmered as she spoke. "We are always open to addressing the concerns of potential members." "Then perhaps you can explain why you've been manipulating Earth from the beginning," Olivia said. She activated a small device Laura had prepared, projecting data into the center of the room. "These are the actual star charts showing Earth's position at the center of 7 major transit lanes, not on the edge of Council space as you claimed." The Council members shifted uncomfortably, but Zilthrax remained calm. "Different maps serve different purposes. We simplified for clarity." "And this?" Alan pressed another button, showing communications data. "These are encrypted Council transmissions sent hours before the hegemony ship arrived in our system. You knew they were coming. You may have even arranged it." Now the Council chamber filled with murmurs as the representatives exchanged glances. Zix raised a crystalline arm for silence. "You must understand the complexities of galactic politics," she said. "Sometimes information must be managed carefully when dealing with new species." "You mean lied to," Alan corrected. Olivia stepped forward. "We know the real reason you approached Earth. You want our strategic position, yes. But more than that, you want our approach to warfare. You've studied our history and think we'd make excellent soldiers in your war." The Octari representative's tentacles writhed in apparent distress. "The humans have accessed classified research," he said to the others. "Is it true?" Alan demanded, looking directly at Zilthrax. "Were you planning to use Earth as bait to draw hegemony forces into a trap?" For a long moment, Zilthrax was silent. Then, his large eyes blinked slowly. The situation required careful management. Earth's entry into the galactic community was inevitable. We sought to guide that entry in a way that would benefit both our peoples. "By lying to us and planning to turn our world into a battlefield?" Olivia asked. "By offering protection and advancement in exchange for strategic cooperation," Zilthrax countered. "The hegemony would have found you eventually. Without Council protection, they would simply take what they want from your world." General Frank Mercer, who had arrived from Earth the day before, stepped forward from where he had been listening silently. "Let me be clear about something, Ambassador. Humanity has fought its own wars for thousands of years. We know what conflict costs. We know how to survive it." He walked to the center of the chamber, his military uniform stark against the alien environment. "But we've learned something important about ourselves along the way. We don't like being manipulated. We don't like being used. And we especially don't like being lied to." Frank's voice grew harder. "You assessed our species correctly in one way. We can be terrifying in battle. Our history is filled with examples of what happens when humans are pushed into a corner." He looked around at each Council member. "So let me offer the Council some free advice. If you drag humanity into your war, we won't just fight your enemy. We'll fight anyone who threatens us, including you." A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The Florian representative's leaf-like appendages trembled. The Ven's containment suit hummed as its gas form swirled more rapidly inside. Zilthrax recovered first. "Is that a threat, General Mercer?" "No," Frank replied calmly. "It's a warning. Earth will decide its own path forward. We'll listen to both the Council and the hegemony, but we won't be pawns in your conflict." As the humans turned to leave, Alan noticed something he hadn't seen from any Council member before: uncertainty and perhaps a hint of fear. The United Nations Hall in New York was packed with leaders from every nation on Earth. The Emergency Global Summit had been called immediately after the delegation returned from the Nexus. On the main stage, Captain Alan Wright, Dr. Olivia Dawson, General Frank Mercer, and Laura Benson prepared to address the assembly. President Gold stepped up to the podium first. "My fellow citizens of Earth, we face an unprecedented situation. For centuries, we wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we're not. And we've been drawn into a conflict that spans the galaxy." Screens around the hall showed images of the Nexus, the Council species, and the star maps revealing Earth's true position. Whispers spread through the crowd as many heard the full story for the first time. Laura presented her findings on the Council's technology and communications. Olivia recounted her secret meeting with Xanvor. Frank explained the military implications of Earth's strategic position, and Alan described their confrontation with the Council. "We have three options," President Gold said after they finished. "We can join the Council, align with the hegemony, or chart our own course." The debate that followed was intense. Some leaders argued for the technological benefits of joining the Council. Others pointed out the deception they had already practiced. A few suggested the hegemony might be the better ally. Most were hesitant to trust either side. "Why choose at all?" asked Alan, stepping forward. The room quieted to hear him. "Earth sits at the crossroads of 7 major transit lanes. Both sides want us for our position, but that means we have leverage neither of them expected." He pulled up a new display showing Earth at the center of the transit lanes. "I propose we establish Earth as a neutral zone. We control our own system and enforce that neutrality ourselves." "With what?" asked the British Prime Minister. "We're centuries behind either faction in technology." "Not anymore," Laura replied. "Between what the Council has shared and what we've learned about the hegemony, we've begun to understand principles of interstellar technology. My team has already reverse-engineered several key systems." Frank nodded. "And we've analyzed the tactics from both sides. They're advanced, but predictable. They've been fighting the same war the same way for decades. Humanity brings something new to the table: innovation. A neutral Earth could be a safe harbor for those caught in this conflict," Olivia suggested. "We could offer mediation, trade with both sides while favoring neither. We could be the bridge that eventually helps end this war." More discussion followed, but the idea gained support. By the end of the summit, a decision was reached. Earth would declare itself neutral territory, enforce its own borders, and develop its defenses independently. Work began immediately. Using the combined knowledge from both alien factions, Earth's scientists and engineers worked around the clock. Laura led a team developing a new defensive shield system that could detect and intercept any approaching vessels. "The genius," she explained to General Mercer as they toured a new facility, "is that we're combining Council energy projection with hegemony sensor technology in ways neither of them fought to try. Their conflict has made them rigid in their thinking. They stick to what they know works." Frank studied the prototype defense platform. "And how long until this is operational?" "We've already deployed the first generation around Earth," Laura said with pride. "This second generation will extend our protection to Mars and the outer system. Within 6 months, we'll have the entire solar system secured." Meanwhile, Alan and Olivia worked with diplomats to draft Earth's official declaration of neutrality. The document was careful and precise, establishing clear boundaries and consequences for violation. "Will it be enough?" Olivia asked as they finished. "Can Earth really stand between two galactic powers?" Alan looked out the window at the New York skyline. "They underestimated us from the beginning. The Council saw us as weapons. The hegemony saw us as potential allies. Neither saw us as equals." He turned back to her with determination in his eyes. "It's time they learned that humanity will forge its own path among the stars. We won't be pawns in someone else's war. We'll be the peacemakers they never expected." 6 months later, representatives from both the Council and hegemony stood in Earth's new orbital diplomatic center. Through the massive windows, they could see Earth below, wrapped in its blue atmosphere, and the stars beyond. But what caught their attention were the defense platforms now visible in orbit, sleek constructions that combined the best elements of both alien designs with uniquely human innovations. General Frank Mercer and Captain Alan Wright had invited them here for a demonstration. Ambassador Zil Thrax and 3 other council members stood on one side of the chamber. Zanvor and 2 hegemony representatives stood on the other. The tension between the 2 groups was obvious. "Thank you for accepting our invitation," Frank said formally. "Earth has made some significant progress since we last met." "We've noticed," said Zil Thrax, his large eyes blinking as he studied the defense platforms. "Your development rate is unexpected." Zanvor's pale skin seemed to glow faintly under the station lights. "The hegemony appreciates Earth's independent position. We are curious about your new defensive systems." Elen nodded to a technician, and a large holographic display activated in the center of the room. It showed the entire solar system, with Earth at its center and the 7 transit lanes extending outward like spokes on a wheel. "This is the Terran-neutral zone," Alan explained. "It encompasses our entire solar system and extends half a light-year in all directions. We've established automated sensor arrays at every entry point." Frank pressed a control, and red dots appeared throughout the display. "These are our new defensive platforms. They combine energy shield technology with advanced weapon systems. Any unauthorized vessel entering our space will receive 1 warning. If they continue, they will be intercepted." "Impressive for such a young species," said Zil Thrax. "But surely you understand that both the Council and Hegemony possess far greater military power." Frank smiled slightly. "We're counting on a demonstration to clarify our position. With your permission." When both alien groups nodded, Frank activated his communication device. "Control, proceed with Demonstration Alpha." Outside, a small fleet of Earth ships appeared from behind the moon. They were new vessels, built with the knowledge gained from studying alien technology. At the same time, a target drone was launched from the station. What followed left both alien delegations in stunned silence. The Earth ships moved with incredible speed and precision, using tactics neither side had seen before. The defense platforms activated, creating a shield network that adjusted and reinforced itself automatically. When the drone attempted to breach the shield, it was instantly targeted by multiple weapon systems and disabled with surgical precision. "As you can see," Alan said calmly, "Earth is quite capable of defending its neutrality. But this is only part of our message," added Dr. Olivia Dawson, who had been quietly observing from the side. She stepped forward now. "We're not just creating defenses. We're establishing the Terran-neutral alliance, a safe haven for any species wishing to escape your conflict." She activated another display showing plans for a massive space station at the junction of the transit lanes. This facility will serve as a place for trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. "We will welcome visitors from both the Council and Hegemony, provided they respect our neutrality." "And if we don't?" asked one of the Hegemony representatives. Laura Benson, who had overseen the development of the defense systems, answered, "Our neutrality isn't a suggestion. It's a promise backed by force if necessary." As the demonstration concluded, the alien representatives prepared to depart. Ambassador Zil Thrax approached Olivia. "The Council underestimated humanity," he admitted quietly. "We saw you as tools to be used in our conflict." "That was your mistake," Olivia replied. "Humanity doesn't exist to fight other people's wars. We've had enough of our own." As the aliens boarded their ships, Olivia overheard a conversation between 2 council members. One said to the other, "The humans were right. We should have heeded the warning from their historical archives. Do not drag humanity into your wars, for they fight not as you do. Where you see battle lines, they see only obstacles to be overcome. Where you see acceptable losses, they see unforgivable tragedy. And where you see a war to be won, they see only a peace to be enforced, no matter the cost." Standing together at the viewport, watching the alien ships depart, Alan, Olivia, Frank, and Laura felt the weight of what they had accomplished. Earth had found its place among the stars, not as a pawn in someone else's game, but as a new power that would chart its own course through the galaxy.